doing? I hope the baby doing so good. All right. Good morning. Welcome to the Millionaire Book Club. My name is Prairie Hunter. Side effects of tapping in with me every single morning do include personal development, mindset transformations, paradigm shifts, and the ability to think your way to success. So I'm super blessed this Tuesday morning. Super grateful. Drop me something that you're grateful for in the chat. I'm grateful for you. I'm grateful for this day. I'm grateful for my life. I'm grateful for another day to serve in my purpose. I'm grateful for another opportunity to learn something, to reprogram my mind for the better. I'm grateful for soul family. I'm grateful for my spouse. I'm grateful for my children. I'm grateful for my parents. I'm grateful for nature. I'm grateful for Mother Earth. I'm grateful for my ancestors. I'm grateful for the universe. I'm grateful for everything and everybody, literally. Grateful for everything and everybody. Grateful for every experience that I have. Grateful for every single time I am able to not allow outside circumstances to affect internal peace. Just super grateful. Just super grateful to know that I am getting so much stronger in my awareness of self, my mastery of self, I'm getting way more in control of my emotions, my thoughts. It's beautiful. It's very beautiful. Charlie said, teach me that. Look, listen, Queen, that's all we've been working on in the Millionaire Book Club. All we've been working on in the Millionaire Book Club is self-discovery, self-mastery, self-awareness, just being a better person, being happy, being free, mentally free, right? Not physically free, being mentally free. I feel sleepy and amazing, packing for our surprise trip. Oh my God, Crystal. That's going to be so fun. I can't wait to see all the pictures. Crystal surprising her baby at Disney. So I know that's going to be amazing. Life, you grateful for life? Yes. Yes. All right. So let's get the daily word read. Let's get the daily word read. Let me see something real quick. All right. So today is the 29th. Tuesday, June 29th. Good morning, Barb. How you doing, Queen? Welcome. All right. So the daily word, Tuesday, June 29th, is inner peace. I let go and enter the inner sanctuary of peace. Amidst a storm, anxious disciples called upon Jesus to calm the wind and still the rolling sea. I bring this story to mind when an inner storm of surging thoughts overwhelms me. I shift my attention to the Christ essence within me to lead the way to inner peace. To do this, I seek quiet in the outer world and within myself. I begin to let go as I lay my burdens aside. The inner realm of quiet and solitude is a sacred space, a healing place, a resting place. I let my whole being feel peace. In the silence, I am open to receive. I am a willing vessel to be filled with divine ideas and with guidance to make my path easier to travel. With gratitude, I emerge refreshed and serene. They went to him and woke him up, shouting, Master, Master, we are perishing. And he woke up and rebuked the wind and the raging waves. They ceased, and there was a calm. And that's Luke 8:24. Right? So, Charlie, inner peace. You said, teach me. This was perfect because this is the key, right? To inner peace, going within, meditating, sitting with yourself, being still, quieting your mind, not letting your thoughts overwhelm you or get on top of you, but instead quieting your mind and getting on top of your thoughts, figuring it out, listening to your intuition, making your decisions based off of what you really want, not what a friend said, or, a lot of times we like to go to other people like, about our issues, to get advice or whatever. But really, the only advice that you need is you. I am blessed and highly favored. Barb said, I am so grateful for everything. God has been truly amazing. I am grateful for just meeting you, Coach. Crystal said, I'm grateful for meeting you too, Queen. You know that. I have a super deep love for my people that stay with me once I left Free Life, because I know that y'all are true, y'all are genuine, and I know for a fact that we like minds, right? We like minds for sure. So I'm super grateful for y'all. YouTube, hi, can y'all write me something? Tell me something that you're grateful for on the chat, in the little chat, please. What y'all grateful for this morning? I'm grateful for y'all. Thank y'all for being here. Grateful for this day. Grateful to be able to serve. Grateful to be able to just be different, right? Be different. Be different than what I'm expected to be. You know, people like to put you in a box, right? So I'm grateful to be outside of the box. People like to put you where they can oh, this is our card. People like to put you where have you in a space where they're comfortable. But I like to make people feel uncomfortable, right? Because I like to push people to grow and challenge people to grow and change. Barb said, I'm grateful for God. I'm grateful for the Millionaire Book Club and grateful for my family. I'm just so grateful. God is just showing me that his gratefulness. Yes, God is. God show up and show out when you show up and show out. Good morning, Quincy. Welcome, Queen. He said, I'm grateful watching on YouTube. Yes, sir. We moving on up. We moving on up, y'all. Okay. So our card for the day is a don't make assumptions card. Discern the truth. Okay. Discern the truth. We've had this card before. And this goes beautifully with the daily word, which is inner peace, right? Discern the truth. She got that key. Okay. So it says the problem with making assumptions is that we believe they are the truth. Right? When we assume something, everybody know that little saying, when you assume, you make an ass out of you and me, right? So the problem with making assumptions is that we believe they are the truth. We make an assumption, we misunderstand, we take it personally, then we react by sending emotional poison with our words. This creates a whole big drama for nothing. Okay? So don't make assumptions. And then our second card for the day is don't take anything personally. Be immune to others' opinions. Get that pretty card. Okay. Be immune to others' opinions. What others say and do is a projection of their own reality, their own dream. When you are immune to the opinions and actions of others, you won't be the victim of needless suffering, right? When you are immune, you won't be a victim of needless suffering. All right, perfect. Let's get the read started. So I'm excited. Yesterday, even the intro was really, really good. I'm excited to get into chapter 1. I feel like chapter 1, I'm going to just let y'all know, it's like a refresher for us, okay? We know a lot of this stuff, but it's good to hear it from another person in another way. It's really, really good. So chapter 1 starts on page 3. It's called Identity. I am what I think I am. It is better to live your own destiny imperfectly than to live in imitation of somebody else's life with perfection. And that's in the Bhagavad Gita 335, okay? And if I say something that resonates with you, drop an MOC in the chat and let me know what your MOC is, okay? So moment of clarity, that's what MOC means. It's my way to connect with you guys, to know that you are still with me, you taking value from this read, and you learning something, you gaining something. So it makes me feel good when I see your MOCs. I have them all throughout the reads, but I've already read all of this I read in preparation for y'all, right? So I've already read, I'm going to read it again, but it's a really good read today. So let's get started. It is better to live your own destiny and perfectly than to live in imitation of somebody else's life with perfection. Okay? In 1902, the sociologist Charles Horton Cooley wrote, "I am not what I think I am, and I am not what you think I am. I am what I think you think I am." Okay? Let that blow your mind for a moment. Our identity is wrapped up in what others think of us, or more accurately, what we think others think of us. Not only is our self-image tied up in how we think others see us, but most of our efforts at self-improvement are really just us trying to meet that imagined ideal. If we think someone we admire sees wealth as success, then we chase wealth to impress the person. If we imagine that a friend is judging our looks, we tailor our appearance in response. In West Side Story, Maria meets a boy who's into her. What's her very next song? I Feel Pretty. As of this writing, the world's only triple Best Actor Oscar winner, Daniel Day-Lewis, has acted in just 6 films since 1998. He prepares for each role extensively, immersing himself completely in his character. For the role of Bill the Butcher in Martin Scorsese's Gangs of New York, he trained as a butcher, spoke with a thick Irish accent on and off the set, and hired circus performers to teach him how to throw knives. And that's only the beginning. He wore only authentic 19th century clothing and walked around Rome in character, starting arguments and fights with strangers. Perhaps thanks to that clothing, he caught pneumonia. Day-Lewis was employing a technique called method acting, which requires the actor to live as much like his character as possible in order to become the role he's playing. This is an incredible skill and art, but often method actors become so absorbed in their character that the role takes on a life beyond the stage or screen. I will admit that I went mad, totally mad, Day-Lewis said to the Independent years later, admitting the role was not so good for my physical or mental health. Unconsciously, we're all method acting to some degree. We have personas we play online, at work, with friends, and at home. Okay? So think about y'all different personalities, right? And when they come out and who they come out around and then why. Okay? Unconsciously, we're all method acting to some degree. We have personas we play online, at work, with friends, and at home. These different personas have their benefits. They enable us to make the money that pays our bills. They help us to function in a workplace where we don't always feel comfortable. They let us maintain relationships with people we don't really like, but need to interact with. But often our identity has so many layers that we lose sight of the real us. If we ever knew who or what that was in the first place. We bring our work role home with us, and we take the role we play with our friends into our romantic life without any conscious control or intention. However successfully we play our roles, we end up feeling dissatisfied, depressed, unworthy, and unhappy. The I and me, small and vulnerable to begin with, get distorted. We try to live up to what we think others think of us, even at the expense of our values. Rarely, if ever, do we consciously, intentionally create our own values. Rarely, if ever, do we consciously, intentionally create our own values. We make life choices using this twice reflected image of who we might be without really thinking it through. Cooley called this phenomenon the looking glass self. We live in a perception of ourselves, and we've lost our real selves as a result. Okay? Think about that, y'all. He said we live in a perception of ourselves. So we show up according to how we think others think we should show up, right? How can we recognize who we are and what makes us happy when we're chasing the distorted reflection of someone else's dreams? You might think that the hard part about becoming a monk is letting go of the fun stuff, right? And honestly, this is what a lot of people think the hard part about anything is. Being 100% into church and all of this stuff. The things that you have to give up. So you might think the hard part about becoming a monk is letting go of the fun stuff. Partying, sex, watching TV, owning things, sleeping in an actual bed. Okay, the bed part was pretty rough. That's in parentheses. But before I took that step, there was a bigger hurdle I had to overcome. Breaking my career choice to my parents. By the time I was wrapping up my final year of college, I had decided what path I wanted to take. I told my parents I would be turning down the job offers that had come my way. I always joke that as far as my parents were concerned, I had 3 career options: doctor, lawyer, or failure. There's no better way to tell your parents that everything they did for you was a waste than to become a monk. This is so us, but it's so changing. Yes, it is. It's changing every day. By the time, like all parents, mine had dreams for me, but at least I had eased them into the idea that I might become a monk. Every year since I was 18, I spent part of the summer interning at a finance job in London and part of the year training at the ashram in Mumbai. By the time I made my decision, my mother's first concern was the same as any mother's: my well-being. Would I have health care? Was seeking enlightenment just a fancy way of saying sitting around all day? Even more challenging for my mother was that we were surrounded by friends and family who shared the doctor-lawyer failure definition of success, right? That was their definition of success. So what's your definition of success, right? Is it truly yours or is it somebody else's? Who was it framed by? Word spread that I was making this radical move, and her friends started saying, "But you've invested so much in his education, and he's been brainwashed, and he's going to waste his life." My friends, too, thought I was failing at life. I heard, "You're never going to get a job again, and you're throwing away any hope of earning a living," right? Listen to how other people push their fears and projections onto you when you want to be free, right? When you try to live your most authentic life, some of your relationships will be put in jeopardy. Now listen to this, y'all. This is a MOC. When you try to live your most authentic life, some of your relationships will be put in jeopardy. Losing them is a risk worth bearing, right? So you still need to go down your path, go down your journey, even if you lose somebody, right? Listen though, losing them is a risk worth bearing. Now listen to this part though. Finding a way To keep them in your life is a challenge worth taking on. Okay. So I see, Crystal, you said MOC, your parents, they don't really understand your choices right now. They don't understand the way you reprogramming your mind because you changing your mindset from the way they programmed you, right? So which means the way you thinking now is totally different than they think. But it says finding a way to keep them in your life is a challenge worth taking on. Okay. And them your parents, you can't just write them off at all. And so that don't mean you stop your growth, but you have to figure out how y'all can grow together, right? Still let them know that they're important, the things they taught you, the values they instilled in you, they're very important to you, right? But right now, this journey of enlightenment, this not even something that you can control, right? This is your spirit calling you to do this, calling you to show up every day for yourself, calling you to retrain your mind to think differently. Right? So this is not even physical. That's what you need to communicate to your parents. What's going on with you is something spiritual. It's not even a physical thing. It's not nothing that I can just turn on and off, right? Okay. Luckily, to my developing monk mind, the voices of my parents and their friends were not the most important guidelines I used when making this decision. But imagine how many people it is. Yes, Barb, even your spouse. Yeah. I'm so grateful and lucky because my spouse, he's already been down this journey and path of enlightenment way before me, right? So he gets it. He gets where I'm at. He understands what I'm going through. And he's supportive of the whole process. But yes, if it can be very, very challenging if you land right in the bed with somebody who don't really understand what you're going through. But that's the point of spreading this knowledge. Y'all know that it's helping, right? I know that it helps. That's why I wanted to do the book club. Y'all know that it helps. Get them involved. Get them involved. Plant seeds every day. Plant little seeds. You know what I'm saying? And eventually, the more you plant, the more you cultivate, stuff will start changing. And we already know we in control of all of this by the way we thinking, by the way we speaking, and the way we feeling. So whatever problems that we having from other people, they can be overcome because we gonna make it be overcome, right? Because we gonna affirm the good no matter what, right? Your parents do understand. Don't even think they don't understand no more. Don't even say that no more. Don't even give power to it no more because they understand. They're just resistant to change. They understand. Trust me. They've lived longer than us. They wise people, I'm sure. They know what's going on, but they resistant. And, fear. They probably scared. Fear, false evidence appearing real. It stagnates people forever. But not no more, not us. Okay. So he said, luckily to my developing monk mind, the voices of my parents and their friends were not the most important guidelines I used when making this decision. Instead, I relied on my own experience. Every year since I was 18, I had tested both lives. I didn't come home from my summer finance jobs feeling anything but hungry for dinner. But every time I left the ashram, I thought, that was amazing. I just had the best time of my life. Experimenting with these widely diverse experiences, values, and belief systems helped me understand my own. The reactions to my choice to become a monk are examples of the external pressures we all face throughout our lives. Our families, our friends, society, media, we are surrounded by images and voices telling us who we should be and what we should do, right? If this is not the truth. They clamor with opinions and expectations and obligations. Go straight from high school to the best college, find a lucrative job, get married, buy a home, have children, get promoted, right? Blah, 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 right? Cultural norms exist for a reason. There is nothing wrong with a society that offers models of what a fulfilling life might look like. But if we take on these goals without reflection, we'll never understand why we don't own a home or we're not happy where we live, why our job feels hollow, whether we even want a spouse or any of the goals we're striving for, right? You got to really evaluate. Do we even really want these things, or do we feel like we have to have these things because that's what society has told us we should have and we should do, right? My decision to join the ashram turned up the volume of opinions and concerns around me. But conveniently, my experiences in the ashram had also given me the tools I needed to filter out that noise. Okay? Just imagine, though, if he hadn't been going back and forth to the monk, getting that experience, he probably wouldn't have even been able to say, okay, I don't want to do this, right? He probably wouldn't have been strong enough because he would have been overcame by the projections and the fears of everybody else in his life, right? Okay. The cause and the solution were the same. I was less vulnerable to the noises around me, telling me what was normal, safe, practical, best. I didn't shut out the people who loved me. I cared about them and didn't want them to worry. But neither did I let their definitions of success and happiness dictate my choices. It was at the time the hardest decision I'd ever made, and it was the right one. The voices of parents, friends, education, and media all crowd a young person's mind, seeding beliefs and values. Society's definition of a happy life is everybody's and nobody's. Ooh, listen to that, y'all. Society's definition of a happy life is everybody's and nobody's, right? Because most of the time, it's only 1% of the world that's really, really out here living the way they truly want to live anyway, right? But most of the time, we have the image and we spend our whole life, I guess, working towards the image or like trying to fulfill it, right? You spend your whole life, job after job, situation after situation, right? And like I said before, that is why you see so many people got 2 jobs, 3 jobs. Like, damn, it's not enough yet. When will it ever be enough, right? The more you make, the more they take. You heard that before. That's because something else is got to be done. Let me see what Crystal said. My sister see it, but she is stubborn. Yes, so when I'm talking to my husband and I'm telling him things, and he will say, I hope that's going to happen. And I have to come back and say to him, no, we can't hold. We have to believe. We have to trust. Our faith is not in our hope. Exactly. Look, just keep getting them together. Just keep getting them together every single time, right? Who cares if they think you crazy? Look, we out here we magicians out here. We out here imagining things into reality. We doing stuff totally different. But listen, observe the masses and do the opposite. That's exactly what I want to do every day. Every day. And it's harder though when it's your spouse. It's so much harder. But you know what's best for you, and you know what's best for y'all, right? You're not doing this for yourself. That's another thing you got to remember. And that's what you have to make clear to him too. I'm not doing this for me. I'm doing this for us. I'm doing this for our generations. I'm doing this for humanity, to contribute positively to humanity as a whole, right? So as long as you can make that clear to him, hopefully in time, and then if he really care about you and he see how important this is to you, and if you really truly changing positively, he gonna see it. He gonna see it. And that shit right there will make you want to jump on board. Yeah, change his mindset, right? Okay. So society's definition of a happy life is everybody's and nobody's. The only way to build a meaningful life is to filter out that noise and look within. This is the first step to building your monk mind. We will start this journey the way monks do, by clearing away distractions. First, we'll look at the external forces that shape us and distract us from our values. Then we will take stock of the values that currently shape our lives and reflect on whether they're in line with who we want to be and how we want to live. Let me see. Look, we chatty today, y'all. That's okay. Okay, that's good, Barb. I'm grateful. So grateful. All right. Is this dust or is it me? Garanga Das offered me a beautiful metaphor to illustrate the external influences that obscure our true selves. We are in a storeroom lined with unused books and boxes full of artifacts. Unlike the rest of the ashram, which is always tidy and well swept, this place is dusty and draped in cobwebs. The senior monk leads me up to a mirror and says, "What can you see?" Through the thick layer of dust, I can't even see my reflection. I say as much, and the monk nods. Then he wipes the arm of his robe across the glass. A cloud of dust puffs into my face, stinging my eyes and filling my throat. All right, y'all, listen. MOC. He says, your identity is a mirror covered with dust. When you first look in the mirror, the truth of who you are and what you value is obscured. Clearing it may not be pleasant, but only when that dust is gone can you see your true reflection. I love that. If it's not profitable to your growth, it shouldn't be a part of your life. Exactly. Not at all. And if it's distracting, if it's a distraction, it don't need to be around, right? We have goals. We're not just here to exist. We're here to change the world. We're here to leave our mark, right? We want to leave our mark here. We only here for a moment in time, right? We only here for a moment in time. We didn't come here to just do what they told us to do and be controlled, right? No. And y'all, I swear, I feel so passionate about this because I was that person. I was so caught up in the box, y'all. I was very caught up in the box. Like, that's why I have 2 bachelor degrees. That's why I was about to go back to school. And it's like, you can keep getting all of this. You can keep adding all of this stuff to yourself. But if you're not changing inside, nothing around on the outside is changing, right? No matter what you do, no matter how many facts you fill your mind with. It's not about the facts. Oh, but she said facts right there. But I'm not saying it's not about the facts to you, but you know what I mean. It's not about all of the little things you can learn. It's not about what you become. It's about who you become in the process, right? But a lot of times people is focused on what they become. I'm a doctor. I'm a lawyer. I'm a nurse. I'm an engineer. I'm this. I'm that. No, that's not you. That's not you. You wasn't born like that, right? Who are you truly? That's wiping the dust off the mirror and seeing who you truly are, not who society painted this picture of who you could be. Who are you? Okay. This was a practical demonstration of the words of Chaitanya, a 16th century Bengali Hindu saint. Chaitanya called this state of affairs Siddho Darpana Marjanam, or clearance of the impure mirror of the mind. The foundation of virtually all monastic traditions is removing distractions that prevent us from focusing on what matters most. Finding meaning in life by mastering physical and mental desires. Some traditions give up speaking, some give up sex, some give up worldly possessions, and some give up all 3. Here's the thing though, y'all. You got to give up to go up. So when you're thinking about giving up, especially in this time on this type of journey, you have to be willing to give up. You have to be willing to sacrifice, right? Give up to go up. Separate to elevate. And all of this stuff is temporary, right? Unless you choose for it not to be. If it's something that's not positively serving you, it can be gone for good. Okay. In the ashram, we lived with just what we needed and nothing more. I experienced firsthand the enlightenment of letting go. When we are buried in non-essentials, we lose track of what is truly significant. Okay? When we are buried in non-essentials, we lose track of what is truly significant. I'm not asking you to give up any of these things, but I want to help you recognize and filter out the noise of external influences. This is how we clear the dust and see if those values truly reflect you. Guiding values are the principles that are most important to us and that we feel should guide us, right? So we all got values, right? We loyal, this, that, and the third. Where did these values come from, though? Values tend to be single word concepts like freedom, equality, compassion, honesty. That might sound rather abstract and idealistic, but values are really practical. Listen to this. I love this part. They're kind of like an ethical GPS we can use to navigate through life. If you know your values, you have directions that point you toward the people, actions, and habits that are best for you. Just as when we drive through a new area, we wander aimlessly without values. We take wrong turns. We get lost. We're trapped by indecision. Values make it easier for you to surround yourself with the right people, make tough career choices, use your time more wisely, and focus your attention where it matters. Without them, we are swept away by distractions. Where values come from. Good morning, everybody, whoever y'all is that just joined. I see you, Tiffany. Good morning. Where values come from. Our values don't come to us in our sleep. We don't think them through consciously. Rarely do we even put them into words, but they exist nonetheless. Everyone is born into a certain set of circumstances, and our values are defined by what we experience. Were we born into hardship or luxury? Where did we receive praise? Parents and caregivers are often our loudest fans and critics. Okay? Listen to that. Parents and caregivers are often our loudest fans and critics. Though we might rebel in our teenage years, we are generally compelled to please and imitate those authority figures. Looking back, think about how your time with your parents was spent. Playing, enjoying conversation, working on projects together. What did they tell you was most important? And did it match what mattered most to them? Who did they want you to be? What did they want you to accomplish? How did they expect you to behave? Did you absorb these ideals and have they worked for you? From the start, our educations are another powerful influence. The subjects that are taught, the cultural angle from which they are taught, the way we are expected to learn. A fact-driven curriculum doesn't encourage creativity. Listen, a fact-driven curriculum doesn't encourage creativity. And I know this now, like firsthand in the schools. Over the years, they stripped all of that creative stuff away, right? It's just straight to business. It's not really no more of the dramas and the, you know what I'm saying? Like all of the creative stuff, unless you actually go to a school that's specializing in that. But that's who we are at heart. We are creators. We should always be filling our mind with that type of stuff. as well as learning the facts, right? And that's the thing about school. We learn all these facts, right, about everything, and we never use it for real. You never really use this stuff, but it's okay. Okay. A fact-driven curriculum doesn't encourage creativity. A narrow cultural approach doesn't foster tolerance for people from different backgrounds and places. And there are few opportunities to immerse ourselves in our passions, even if we know them from an early age, right? There are few opportunities to immerse ourselves in our passions, even if we know them from an early age. This is not to say that school doesn't prepare us for life. And there are many different educational models out there, some of which are less restrictive. But it is worth taking a step back to consider whether the values you carried from school feel right to you. Okay, so let me see. We're going to keep going. I think we should keep going. Okay, the media mind game. As a monk, I learned early on that our values are influenced by whatever absorbs our minds. We are not our minds, but the mind is the vehicle by which we decide what is important in our hearts. Y'all heard that? We are not our minds, but the mind is the vehicle by which we decide what is important in our hearts. The movies we watch, the music we hear, the books we read, the TV shows we binge, the people we follow online and offline. What's on your news feed is feeding your mind. Okay? What's on your news feed is feeding your mind. So if you need to do a cleanse, go through your followers, unfollow some people, some negative people that's always spreading bad news. You don't need that garbage. You don't want that serving of anything, right? Get them off your timeline. What's on your news feed is feeding your mind. The more we are absorbed in celebrity gossip, images of success, violent video games, and troubling news, the more our values are tainted with envy, judgment, competition, and discontent. Y'all hear that? The more we are absorbed in these things, right? Celebrity gossip, images of success, images of what somebody else says success is, right? Not necessarily what you feel it is, but what somebody else has told you it should look like. Violent video games and troubling news, the more our values are tainted with envy, judgment, competition, discontent. And I want to add one. He don't even have this, but I'm hearing fear, right? Fear as well. That's how you taint it. Observing and evaluating are key to thinking like a monk. Observing and evaluating. Observe the masses, do the opposite. Observing and evaluating are key to thinking like a monk. And they begin with space and stillness. For monks, the first step in filtering the noise of external influences is a material letting go. I had 3 stints visiting the ashram, graduated college, then officially became a monk. After a couple months of training at the Bhaktivedanta Manor, a temple in the countryside north of London, I headed to India, arriving at the village ashram in the beginning of September 2010. I'm sorry, y'all. I exchanged my relatively stylish clothes for 2 robes, one to wear and one to wash. I forfeited my fairly slick haircut for no hair. Our heads were shaved. And I was deprived of almost all opportunities to check myself out. The ashram contained no mirrors except the one I would later be shown in the storeroom. So we monks were prevented from obsessing over our appearance, ate a simple diet that rarely varied, slept on thin mats, laid on the floor, and the only music we heard was the chants and bells that punctuated our meditations and rituals. We didn't watch movies or TV shows, and we received limited news and email on shared desktop computers in a communal area. Nothing took the place of those distractions except space, stillness, and silence. When we tune out the opinions, expectations, and obligations of the world around us, we begin to hear ourselves. Okay? When we tune out the opinions, expectations, and obligations of the world around us, we begin to hear ourselves. In that silence, I began to recognize the difference between outside noise and my own voice, right? My own inner voice, my inner being. I could clear away the dust of others to see my core beliefs. I promised you I wouldn't ask you to shave your head and don robes. But how in the modern world can we give ourselves the space, silence, and stillness to build awareness? Most of us don't sit down and think about our values. We don't like to be alone with our thoughts. Our inclination is to avoid silence, to try to fill our heads, to keep moving. In a series of studies, researchers from the University of Virginia and Harvard asked participants to spend just 6 to 15 minutes alone in a room with no smartphone, no writing instruments, and nothing to read. Right? And how many of y'all do this, right? Gotta keep your mind busy. Gotta keep your mind distracted doing something. Because when you're not doing nothing, it don't feel right, right? Because you're not used to just sitting with yourself, being alone. Maybe unless you was like the only child or something. Or you've been in jail or something. You know what I'm saying? Okay. The researchers then let them listen to music or use their phones. Participants not only preferred their phones and music, many of them even chose to zap themselves with an electric shock rather than be alone with their thoughts. If you go to a networking event every day and have to tell people what you do for a living, right? What you do, what you are, what you've become, right? It's hard to step away from that reduction of who you are. If you watch Real Housewives every night, you start to think that throwing glasses of wine in your friends' faces is routine behavior. When we fill up our lives and leave ourselves no room to reflect, those distractions become our values by default. We can't address our thoughts and explore our minds when we're preoccupied. Nor does just sitting in your home teach you anything. All right, listen, action steps. There are 3 ways I suggest you actively create space for reflection. First, on a daily basis, I recommend you sit down to reflect on how the day went and what emotions you're feeling, right? So we already been doing this, but we've been doing it in the aspect of imagination, right? Building and strengthening our imagination. So it's even good for emotional awareness, right? Emotional awareness of how you felt throughout the day. So first, on a daily basis, I recommend you sit down to reflect on how the day went and what emotions you're feeling. Second, once a month, you can approximate the change that I found at the ashram by going someplace you've never been before to explore yourself in a different environment. This can be anything from visiting a park or library you've never been to before to taking a trip, right? So do something out of the ordinary, not so routine. Finally, get involved in something that's meaningful to you. A hobby, a charity, a political cause. Another way to create space is to take stock of how we are filling the space that we have and whether those choices reflect our true values. Okay? So I am going to stop it here. We stop it on page 12 at Audit Your Life. Okay. So this chapter goes up to like page 20. So we on page 12. We'll have plenty of time tomorrow to finish chapter 1. And we're going to start on Audit Your Life. But I do want to go ahead and read this little gray box. So I told y'all in this book, if you haven't bought it, in these little gray boxes is like actually little action steps or whatever, or like little activities. So if you do have the book at home, I do want you guys to go ahead and do this. Do the activity, right? Take the action. Where did your values come from? It can be hard to perceive the effect these casual influences have on us. Values are abstract, elusive, and the world we live in constantly pushes blatant and subliminal suggestions as to what we should want and how we should live and how we form our ideas of who we are. Write down some of the values that shape your life. Next to each, write the origin. Put a check mark next to each value that you truly share. Okay, so they have an example. Kindness, the origin was the parent. Is it true to me? He checked it off and said yes. Appearance. Where did your values about your appearance come from? For him, he put his origin came from the media, things he's seen on TV or whatever. Is it true to me? Not in the same way. What about your values and your thoughts and beliefs about wealth? Who did those come from? Who instilled those values in you about what wealth looks like or what a wealthy or successful person looks like? He put parent. Is it true to me? He said no. So this is what we can do too, right? Look at where we are. We need to see where we are so we can know where we're going. Good grades. Where'd the origin of getting good grades come from? He put school. Is it true to me? He said no. It interfered with real learning. Focusing on good grades, right? Knowledge came from school. Is it true to me? He said yes. Family. Where's the origin? Tradition. He said, is it true to me? He said family, yes, but not tradition, not traditional. Okay. So that's only a few. It's so many different values that we can discern, right? Discern the truth. That was our card that we pulled today. Discern the truth. How divine, right? Are you living for you, or are you living for somebody else? Even right now, at this point in life, right? I know we grown as hell out here. We grown. We real grown. But still, are you doing what you're doing for yourself? Or are you doing it for somebody else, to please somebody else? And if you're doing things to please others, then you doing yourself a disservice. Your inner self, right? Your inner being, your spirit. You putting that person in darkness. You want to put your inner being in the light. Keep your inner, I'm calling it a her because mine is a girl, right? Because I'm a girl. So inside of me, my inner being, my inner spirit, I want her in the light at all times. I want her to be happy. And I know her environment is based off of the way I'm thinking, the way I'm feeling, right? The actions I'm taking, that's determining what's going on in the inside. So knowing we have a responsibility to our higher selves, our inner selves, the God within us, basically, right? The power, our power, we have to treat it right and be responsible for our energy. That's the basis of it all every single day. Be responsible for your energetic output, because the energy that you're giving is the experience that you're receiving. So if you want better, you got to do better. If you want things to change, you got to change things. Okay. So that's it for today, y'all. Super, super blessed, super grateful. Thank y'all for joining. We definitely gonna be back at it tomorrow. Protect y'all energy today. Protect y'all peace today. Don't let these energy vampires suck and drain the life out of you today, right? Be bright, smile for no reason. Make people wonder what you so damn happy for, right? Because misery loves company. So you're not a miserable petty Betty, right? You're not. You happy, you secure, You know where you're going. You connected to your inner self, your higher self. You are divine. You are a co-creator with the Most High, right? The source. You don't have no reason to sit here and be having this attitudinal, this bad disposition all the time, right? Don't do that. If that's you, release that. Release that. And that can be hard to let go because some people, people want to say they stuck in their ways, but that's the worst spot to be in, to be stuck in some unhealthy ways. Okay. So that's it. I am your sister in love. I am your sister in light. I love you so much. And we'll be right back at it tomorrow. Starting on page 13, I believe I said, with audit your life, right? Audit your life. All right, y'all. So have a super fantastic day. Stop here.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Good morning.
Good morning, honey. What's going on?